Best-selling author Jonathan Haidt's commencement speech is now the latest battle over cancel culture on college campuses. At issue, Haidt's outspoken criticism of the woke culture that seems to be taking over the minds of many young people and at universities across the country. The New York Times writing, students object to speaker who calls their generation coddled. Jonathan Haidt, a professor, says that colleges shield students from challenging ideas, but student leaders said he does not represent their values. Haidt got this reception after student activists failed to block him from speaking on Thursday. Despite the booing, though, Haidt stood by his assessment of the current culture. Listen here.
The psychological foundation of this great truth is that humans, and especially young people, are not fragile. They are anti-fragile, to use a term coined by NYU professor Nassim Taleb. Fragile things break when they get knocked over or challenged, so we need to protect them vigilantly. But anti-fragile things grow stronger, so we need to expose them to challenge diligently.
All right, let's bring in Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor and George Washington University Law School professor. You know, he talks about anti-fragility there, that human beings are anti-fragile, yet they seem to be, according at least to his writings, coddled by universities to the point that they're all fragile.
Well, unfortunately, that is true, John. The fact is that these students have gone through years of schooling, not just in college, but also high school, grade school, teaching them that free speech is a danger, is a threat to them, that they shouldn't have to listen to triggering speech and speech that are called microaggressions. That's the environment they have been in since they first entered many of their school systems. So it's not surprising that these students would go out and say, we don't want him because he's, quote, anti-woke. That was the quote that they used, that they didn't like the fact that he opposed woke policies, that he wanted to have greater free speech. To them, that's just a continuation of what they were taught. These students are the creation of higher education particularly. Faculty and administrators have created this orthodox environment of viewpoint intolerance.
You know, in his book, The Coddling of America, he says that the system's poorly served a generation of students by coddling them, shielding them from diversity of ideas, uncomfortable situations, upsetting ideas. Yet listen to what Grayson Stevenson, who's the outgoing sophomore class president at NYU, told the New York Times. I don't think that students saying that the speaker doesn't represent our values is the same thing as students being incapable of hearing opposing viewpoints. Those are two very different things. I was struck by what he said in the first sentence there. I don't think that students saying the speaker doesn't represent our values. Whose values? Are students some monolithic group that don't have independence of thought? They all have exactly the same values, and this guy doesn't represent those?
Well, I think that's right, John, and that sentence is really quite depressing. No one's questioning whether they're capable of hearing opposing views. It's just that they're unwilling to hear opposing views. You know, this follows the cancellation, the successful cancel campaign against the former Northwestern president, Morton Shapiro, at NYU, and they opposed him because he was pro-Israel. There's another cancel campaign directed against the president of Israel, who largely holds a ceremonial post. All of these are considered sort of par for the course, that you shouldn't have to hear that. Now, keep in mind that liberal speakers at commencements are outnumber conservative or libertarian speakers over 6-1. So it's very rare for anyone that is not left to the far left or a Democratic figure to be invited. And that's part of the problem. This country is split down the middle, and yet liberal and Democratic speakers outnumber the other side 6-1.
You know, I was actually very impressed that NYU stood behind their choice of putting Jonathan Haidt up there at Yankee Stadium for the commencement. They said this: Professor Haidt is one of the most consequential scholars of the 21st century. His work has changed the world, reshaping how we understand technology's impact on polarization and isolation. That's referring to his book, The Anxious Generation, which is one of the most consequential books that's been written in the last 10 years about how social media and smartphones are rewiring the brains of young people in ways that are extraordinarily detrimental.
No, I think that is a good sign, John. I want to give them credit. And by the way, I meant that Georgetown Law School canceled the Shapiro commencement speech this year, not NYU. And it is to their credit that they stuck to their position here and did not abandon him. That is rare. But usually what these protesters know is that if they cause all of this fuss, most speakers are not going to want to be embarrassed, and they walk away on their own. And that's part of this culture of intolerance and intimidation.
Well, maybe after yesterday's commencement address, they can all spend the next couple of weeks in their safe space and eventually get over it. I read the speech. It was a great speech.
It is a good speech.
All right. Yes. And anybody, go online and take a look at it, because he is a very, very, very interesting and very intellectual fellow. He has some really incredible things to say. Professor, always great to catch up with you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.